What do we picture when we hear the word court? A room full of jurors, judges in robes, lawyers arguing to prove someone's innocence. A modern court is a place where people seek truth, where a person can be acquitted or punished based on real evidence. Now imagine that sitting in the defendant's place is not a person, but an ordinary chicken. Yes, a chicken. And around it, a completely serious trial. A judge, an attorney, witnesses, even spectators. Absurd? To us, absolutely. But for people in the Middle Ages, this was entirely normal and logical. In those distant centuries, people believed that every living creature possessed a soul and reason, capable of distinguishing between good and evil. So if an animal caused harm to a person or the community, it had to answer before the law, just like any human. Court was seen not only as an act of human justice, but also as an expression of divine will. And these weren't symbolic punishments. Everything was taken seriously. The animal could be summoned to court, it had its own defense attorney who spoke on its behalf, and peasants acted as witnesses, testifying about how exactly the offender had caused harm. The charges varied, from chickens destroying vegetable gardens to accusations of collaboration with the devil. And don't think these were rare oddities. Such trials were recorded in France, Switzerland, Italy, and even Germany. Chickens, pigs, goats, dogs, donkeys, any creature could be brought before the law if people believed it had disturbed the order of things. Sometimes the verdicts were mild. The animal was banished from the village or forgiven. But there were also cases when the court issued a real death sentence, just as it would for a human. These proceedings were often accompanied by prayers, crowds in the town square, church bells, everything resembling a solemn ritual of justice. In this series of stories, I'll tell you about 10 real historical cases where ordinary animals found themselves on trial. Real records, real witnesses, real verdicts. All of it preserved in medieval chronicles. In 14th century France, an unusual court case took place. The peasants of a small village filed an official complaint against a flock of chickens and roosters. They claimed the birds had damaged their crops, pecking up grain from the fields and gardens, ruining the seedlings, scratching up the soil in the cemetery, and leaving a mess everywhere. For the villagers, this was a serious matter, since their harvest was what fed their families. They demanded that the court examine the case and punish the guilty. The judge accepted the complaint and scheduled a hearing. The town crier announced that the chickens were summoned to appear before the court. The birds were brought in cages so that everyone could see them. Present at the hearing were the judge, a priest, the complaining peasants, and chosen witnesses. According to the laws of the time, even animals had the right to a defense. Therefore, the judge appointed an attorney to represent the chickens. During the trial, he tried to argue that the birds acted not out of malice, but simply followed their natural instincts. However, witness after witness testified that the damage caused by the flock had been considerable. They described how the chickens dug up the grain, scattered the soil around the church, and disturbed the village's peace. The judge listened to all sides. Then, he announced that the chickens were guilty of causing harm, but the punishment would not be the same for all. It was decided that the most aggressive and destructive birds would be executed, while the rest would be released. This was meant to show that justice should target the guilty, not the innocent. The sentence was carried out publicly. In the town square, several of the chickens were beheaded. The execution was not only the destruction of the birds, but also a symbolic act, a demonstration of justice. For the community, it was proof that the law was fair and that even animals could not escape accountability. In the city of Basel, in 1474, a strange event occurred. In a villager's courtyard, a rooster laid an egg. Word spread quickly throughout the town. The incident caused fear, for people believed such an egg was unnatural. It was thought that from it might hatch a serpent or some other monster born of dark forces. The rooster was captured and brought to trial. The judge ordered a formal hearing. Witnesses testified that they had seen the egg with their own eyes. It was shown to everyone present, and no one doubted that the event had truly happened. The witnesses insisted that such a thing could not occur naturally, and therefore must be the work of evil. The judge declared the rooster guilty of association with unholy forces. The verdict was severe. Both the rooster and the egg were to be burned to destroy any possible danger. The townspeople gathered in the public square to witness the execution. The egg was thrown into the fire, and the bird followed after it. It was believed that only in this way could the town be protected from whatever evil might have come from that egg. In the 15th century in the Netherlands, there was a well-known case where a community filed a complaint against a rooster. It was accused of crowing during the night. Normally, a rooster was expected to crow only at dawn, when the sun rose. If it crowed in the middle of the night, people believed it to be a sign of dark or supernatural forces. The villagers brought the rooster to court. It was kept in a cage. The judge heard the complaints, and witnesses testified that the bird had repeatedly disturbed the peace, waking people in the dark hours and spreading fear through the village. The townsfolk insisted that this was a mark of evil, and that if the rooster went unpunished, misfortune could fall upon the entire community. The judge delivered the verdict. If the rooster crowed at night again, it would be executed. The sentence was announced publicly so that everyone would know. According to the chronicler, after the trial, the rooster indeed fell silent at night and crowed only at sunrise. The villagers decided that this was a sign it had understood its punishment and repented. The bird was spared, but kept under watch. In the 16th century in Savoy, a trial was held against a woman accused of witchcraft. Her neighbors claimed she kept a black hen in her house that laid eggs every night without shells. Such eggs were believed to be a sign of dark magic. People said witches used them to brew potions or place them under doorsteps to cause illness. When the woman was arrested, several strange eggs with soft membranes were indeed found in her home. The court treated this as evidence. The hen was also seized and brought to the hearing, sitting in a basket beside the accused. Witnesses testified that the bird behaved oddly, often silent, refusing to cluck, and sometimes suddenly screeching in the middle of the night. All this was taken as proof that it was a servant of the devil. The sentence was harsh. The woman was condemned to death, and the hen was burned with her. The eggs found in the house were thrown into the fire as well. People believed that if left untouched, they might hatch into something dangerous. Such cases were not rare. A hen could become the main piece of evidence in a witchcraft trial. In courts of that era, animals were often brought in as material proof, since it was believed that the devil always left a sign in the physical world. In Lausanne, at the end of the 15th century, a case was recorded in which the accused was not a person, but a chicken. The townspeople reported that the bird had laid a black egg. The egg looked unnatural, its shell was dark, it gave off a strange odor, and its surface was marked with spots resembling symbols. People believed it was a sign of the devil. The hen was immediately seized and kept separately as the defendant. The egg was placed on display in the courtroom for everyone to see. The villagers testified that strange things began to happen after the egg appeared. A cow died without reason. Milk disappeared from several homes, and children fell ill with fever. Everything was blamed on the hen. There was no human defendant. The case was conducted solely against the bird. Some demanded an immediate execution without a hearing, but the judge insisted on a formal trial. Witnesses repeated that the egg could not have been natural. One man swore he had seen the hen sitting not on her perch, but on the threshold of a house, staring straight at him. To the villagers, this was a sure sign of possession. The verdict was severe. The hen and the egg were both sentenced to be burned. The execution was carried out publicly. The egg was thrown into the fire first, followed by the hen. The townsfolk watched, believing the act would cleanse them of evil. The Lausanne case was a rare instance where an animal was tried completely independently of any human. The court record notes that the sentence was read aloud as if for any other criminal, except that the defendant's name was written as the hen that laid the black egg.